Hey, and welcome back. Now, if you haven't watched this episode already, we are doing the part of the Blue Flamingo strategy series. If you haven't already listened to it, I highly recommend that you actually pause this video or pause this episode and actually go back and actually listen to it. We've got a lot of amazing things that we've shared therein, and I'd love for you guys to find out how you can actually differentiate yourself from the marketplace, and that way you're not just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, but you actually come in with something fresh, something new, and you're able to stand out in a crowded marketplace. Now, so far, we've talked about several strategies, I think six about. We talked about how you can differentiate yourself by process, how you can differentiate yourself through contrast, how you can differentiate yourself by zagging when people are zigging, how you can differentiate yourself by being the underdog, or using stories. And that one we're using the underdog story, the other one is using the phoenix story. And now for this episode, we're talking about the butterfly story. Now, just give you a quick recap, and this is something that you already know, but just bear with me for a bit. And now, most of you know that butterflies aren't born as butterflies. Butterflies evolve from caterpillars and they are transformed and they become butterflies. And so you find the butterfly used to live as a caterpillar for a while before the time came whereby it cocooned itself and then it emerged as a butterfly. Now, the reason why I'm using this strategy or using this as an example when it comes to attaching a story to your brand is because it can be highly effective, whereby it kind of combines some of the elements of the previous ones like contrast and even the underdog, or the different elements that are there that you find the similarities therein. But the whole idea is to actually just name it, that way you can know what it is that you're doing, or the strategy that is that you're using. And so for the butterfly strategy is a situation whereby you find somebody was doing one thing for a long time and then all of a sudden they switched and they did something else. And if you watch the series called The Rookie, it's about this detective who's a 45-year-old police officer, who started as a police officer. And before that, he was doing something totally different. And so he starts off as a police clearing the police academy at the age of 45 or something thereabout, and actually goes on to become a cop. And this is kind of the story of the butterfly, whereby you've been doing something for so long, and then all of a sudden you decide to have a career switch. People tend to call it midlife crisis or whatever it is, but this is pretty much the strategy that we're talking about here. And so you could have been doing something totally different and then you want to do something different again. And so you could have been working in the corporate ladder for years and then you decided to quit all of it and actually start something new. If you had the story of the monk who sold his Ferrari, well, that's another example of the butterfly strategy. Another example of that one is the story of Conor McGregor, the MMA fighter, whereby he was an MMA or a UFC fighter for a long time. And then all of a sudden he's transitioned into becoming a movie actor. And actually he debuted in the movie called Roadhouse that's being released in this year. So I'm not sure when you're going to be listening, but the year is 2024. And so that's another example of somebody who's actually changing from going from being a caterpillar and then becoming a butterfly. And you've seen this all over the web. You've seen this in the story of Dwayne The Rock Johnson, whereby he was a wrestler for a long time and then transitioned to a movie role. You see the story about Kevin Hart, who started off as a comedian and now he does movies. You've seen the story about John Cena as well. He was doing wrestling for a while. Now he's now doing movies. And so you find there's this transitional moment whereby people decide to actually do something else. And so they become like caterpillars, whereby they've been caterpillars for a long time. And they keep quiet for a while. They kind of, they retreat for a bit and then they kind of re-strategize and they, in the cocoon whereby themselves, they kind of think over things and they begin to kind of rebrand themselves and actually decide that they want to chart a new path in their life, regardless of what age they are in, regardless of where they are in their life, and regardless of all their accomplishments. They decide to leave all of that behind and actually start something new. And that's the whole idea. So this could be you, whereby maybe you've been working in a job that you hate, or in a career that you hated, or in a career that your mother or your father led you to it because they thought it was going to be profitable for you. And now maybe at the age of 30, at the age of 40, at the age of 50, however long it is, you've decided to actually take a different path. You've decided to actually take the path that you actually thought about, the path that you actually wanted for a long time. And kudos for that one. Kudos for taking the courage to actually doing that. It's not easy. And even myself, I'm actually have different elements of myself where I'm actually charting a new path, which I never thought I would actually do it. And so, like I said, I come from a molecular biology or a medical biotechnology background, and now I am doing a podcast. So you can imagine kind of like how the two don't have anything to do with each other. And so whatever it is, wherever you are, take heart and actually know that instead of this mess that you call your life, while you may be looking at it as a mess, it can actually turn and become your message. You can actually attach it to your brand and actually stand out from the crowd, whereby You can actually show people that it is possible, that you can actually go from one thing that you didn't want to do and actually do something else, and even use your experience and even use your past having been misaligned, so to speak, and then coming into alignment, so to speak. And you can actually use that to attach that to your brand and actually differentiate yourself from the marketplace. And so that's the whole idea of the butterfly strategy, whereby you're a caterpillar for a long time and then you become a butterfly. Another example of this is Gary Vee. If you had a story, he was doing wine, he was selling wine for his father's business, and for a long time he was selling wine. He grew it into a multi-million business, and then he left it all behind to actually start Gary Vee Media. I think that's the name of it. And so that's another story of the butterfly strategy, or the butterfly effect. And so, yeah, you combine aspects of rising from the ashes or just leaving everything behind and actually starting over. And that's the whole point of it. And so, whatever it is, whether you've been a caterpillar for too long, I'm here to tell you that you can actually be a butterfly, and you can actually tell your story of a caterpillar, and it can actually help you sell yourself or actually stand up in the marketplace, even if you're doing something brand new, even when people don't know, even when you have no list, when you have no connection, when you're just doing it from afresh. This can be your strategy. Your mess can be your story. Your past of misalignment can be the story that you use even in your alignment to help you. It can actually be the stepping stone. So instead of being a stumbling block, having wasted all those years, instead of thinking of it like that, you can actually use that as a story and actually use some of those highlights of those areas of your life and actually use them to kind of differentiate yourself in the marketplace and actually stand out from everyone else and what they're doing. And so that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments in the section below. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And that's it for this episode. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.